I was able to copy all of the files in and get it there and adjust some of the levels, but I wasn't able to find like where the EQ was.
Okay, so we can address that. Dominic, you still there? Haywood, what about you? You there?
Here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hey Dominic. So were you able? What's up? Were you able to get any of it done?
Yeah.
No problems.
No.
Okay, great. All right. So we had Mason had a problem and Tanner had a problem, and so let's address those, and then we can. So Mason needed to know where. Can you share your screen and show us where all this stuff is in Pro Tools, Nori?
Um, what do you mean by the
He needed to know where the high pass filter, how to get to it. He
Oh,
couldn't figure out how to
okay.
get to it.
So you guys seen the screen right now?
Yeah, we see it.
All right. So the high pass filter is in uh EQ. Well, EQ and high pass filter is the same actually. So whatever you see this is insert plugins. You open EQ. There are many kind of EQs, but I use like basic EQ, the free one. Open up, and this is the regular EQ looks like. And only using the low part of the EQ, that's actually the high pass filter. And if you see right here, it says HPF. This is high pass filter. So
Okay.
engage.
He says
And
he's good.
yeah, okay.
So
All right.
okay, Matthew, what was your problem? Let's try to solve that.
Yeah, my problem was that I couldn't figure out how to like pan the audio in Logic.
Oh, in Logic, panning, audio, and Logic. Okay.
Maybe you know it, right? Darren?
Yes, I can answer that question. So if you look at your bar, like in Logic where every track is lined up on the left side, should I just share the screen? Would that be easier?
Yeah.
I gotta open. Let me open my Logic, y'all. Give me just a second. And give me a second here. Greg, you don't happen to have your Logic open, do you? Okay, here we go. I got it open.
Yeah, I can open it up right now if you want.
I got it open. Okay, so can you guys see that? All right, Matthew. So you see this right here? This is the panning. So you can just pan it right, pan it left. Do you see that on your Logic? I can't see you, so you'll have to unmute.
Oh, I'm unmuted.
Okay. Can you see that
Yep.
on your Logic?
I was
Or I have to
thinking
stop sharing the screen.
before, but I wasn't sure.
I'm sorry?
I was thinking that's what those knobs were for, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So that's how you pan it. It's also so that yeah, that's how you do it. Can to get to the high pass filter, you know how to do that?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll share my screen one more time for the cast using Logic. All right. So if you want to, it's kind of the same as Pro Tools. So in these little boxes, I think if you hit X on your keyboard, it'll either get rid of this or make it come back. And then you just click in one of these boxes. And then I think it's also in EQ. Actually, I can't remember where the high pass filters.
Should be in the EQ section or the filter.
Or if you just tap the little EQ box above it, I think it should bring up the like you see the little EQ
right here?
box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that's right. Then there's a filter, a high pass filter in one of these EQ tools.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, yeah. High cut. Like, you got
Yeah.
that, Matt? Matthew, you got that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm not the
Cool.
expert here. I just dabble with Logic.
Any
Okay.
other questions? Like, um,
I only had one issue. It was trying to not get the keyboard so distorted. I know you talked a little
okay.
bit about that, but I just forgot how you did that. Other than that,
So I got all the files from that Darian. It's all depends on how people record it. I think the keyboard on the our file is already distorted, so don't worry about it. When you record, whatever trumpet or vocal or drums, try not to distort. That's the only key for the recording.
And how do they ensure that it's not distorted?
Well, the easiest way is just playback. If sound's not distorted, then it's not distorted. And just look at the meter. Its meter is clipping, gets to the high red zone, that's clipping. Every time you guys record and there's a mic gain, you don't need to turn up way much. It's better gain low than high, because you have a chance to clip the sounds if gain is so high. So just start from the like little, just trying to like turn up little by little. Then see if the meter is up in maybe around the half.
Just to reiterate what you're saying, like when you're recording live instruments and you're trying to get the gain levels right, like what is, you said like half is about where you want it to be?
I'll show you. Okay, so this is the meter, right? Let me do this. I'm about I play bass. Everybody plays the instrument, right? Let's I'm trying to record no I can't. Well, let's use bass track. The bass track. This is after I adjust the level. But when you plug in the bass or the mic, the source coming to the meter, and this is about half. This is way up. When you blow it like really hard, meter goes up, but still you don't want to hit the top. So I'm saying like, for digital recording like this, the sounds doesn't change if it's low recorded or the high recorded. Only high recorded is have so much chance to clip the sound.
And also like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Or even if you record like very, very low, you can turn up after, on the mix. So you don't need to worry about it.
And kind of what you're saying too is that like if you clip the sound as you're inputting, like as you're recording, it's tremendously difficult to fix that, if not impossible.
Well, maybe you can if you use like very expensive like plugin, but it's almost,
you want to avoid that.
Yeah, you don't want to do it because almost a pain as like almost impossible to fix it. And it sounds gets changed if you use like some kind of plugin to get rid of clip. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. The last week, not the Monday, I think I talk so much, but this time I'll show you what I do. This is kind of my final mix. And I want to show you, I want you to hear what I do, what I did. I spent maybe 1 hour or 2 hours to do this. let's listen this first. Let me know if it's too loud.
You better batten down your hatches, should be all I need to say. There's a storm in the Gulf, and it's headed your way. You better batten down your hatches, should be all I need to say.
Okay, so this is what I did, and this is my mix page, mix screen, and those are the plugins, right? It seems so much, but it isn't. I'm only use the basic plugins, EQ and compressor and reverb. That's it. So we all know how to set up for the mix already. We put everything in session, and we balance with the faders already, and did the basic treatment with the high pass filter. So from there, something I did and I didn't on the Monday class, I cut all those unnecessary like silence regions, just to make it like clean, just to have a clean region, clean sound. Like this is a vocal track. I found a little stuff right here. You see this? I think this is just a bless or something. I don't know what this is, but she's actually singing from here, the big region. So I don't need this. So I cut it. Now we have like really clean sound regions. That's the next thing I did after
So you do that for all the tracks, Nor you just kind of go in and clean things up.
Yeah, it all depends on the music genre too. If you record classical music, you want to capture the air too. Like, so in that case, you leave everything. But this kind of pop-ish jazz / funk, you only need the main sources.
Okay. Can you show us how you EQ'd an instrument? Because that's where the magic is, I think.
Okay.
Everybody got how to cut. Everybody got that under control. Cutting the stuff that's okay, cool, perfect.
So
we're gonna want to listen to. Go ahead, Dom.
I was gonna ask. So you thought that the drum overheads didn't need to be EQ'd at all?
Well, I do, but this is kind of tricky. Instead of using EQ, I use a high pass filter. This is a part of EQ too. For the overhead, I don't need to hear any low stuff. I want to hear cymbals mainly, because we have a snare mic and bass drum mic, so we don't worry about snare mic and bass drum mic. So I only want to hear this cymbals and toms. So
yeah, that was my bad. I didn't see that you put them in a bus. I just saw there are 2 channels next to it, and I thought you didn't EQ it for a second.
Oh, okay.
I see that you did.
So like instead of it just cut, I use a different words. For the overhead, cutting row means like use a high pass filter to like cut the unnecessary low frequency right here. these are bass drum frequency mainly. I don't need it. So this time though, I didn't EQ crazy, but some of the track I hear little too mad or too dark. So I blow some of the high, like piano. This is a piano track, and first of all, I hear so much low somehow. Even this was recorded with the lines, not the mic or the amp. Usually, line level is already treated with the high pass filter, but that's all depends on how how he or she recorded. But either way, I heard so much low, so I didn't need so much low. So I put the 140 for the low cut. This much. You can still
So you cut out 100. So everybody got that 140 cut for the low end. So you can play around with that.
yeah you can mess around, like you can moving around like this, and you can just adjust till you hear uh the low pass filter affect to the sound.
Yeah.
Let's
So
hear.
basically, you just kind of like cut until you think, oh, okay, that sounds good to my ear.
Yeah. If this is a bass, you don't want to cut low too much low. So just leave it a little bit. So I mean, you cut the low a little bit, but back to the piano. I saw the piano is too dark. On this side of the EQ is high. This is high part. This is low part, right? This is the middle. Let's play keyboard first. This is EQ bypass. Now EQ on. Off. I'm hearing with my speaker. It's get more like obvious that it's so much different low frequency. The headphone is little less, you feel, but the main thing is I um I gain high this much. This is high. So what you do is listen each tracks, and you can adjust whatever you need to. If the bass is too much, just make it cleaner, or the keyboard is too bright, just cut the high. But after that, you play every tracks. How the piano is bending. When you EQ something, you should do like twice, individual and ensembles. And this is a keyboard. And what else? Vocal, I didn't do anything, just the high pass filter. I cut like 140. The female vocal doesn't need so much low. The male vocal doesn't need a low. Well, the one more reason to do a roll cut, high pass filter, is especially when you record in house, not in a professional studio, the microphone catches everything. like, refrigerator makes like little low noise, or the cars from outside, that's usually very low frequency. And even you cannot hear right now. Maybe you check with a headphone, you hear a little bit. That's bothering you after when you're doing the mixing, because you actually EQing all those sounds too. You actually EQing the car sound from outside too. So before that, you don't want to no car sound or anything. So just treat uh every track with the low cut first. All right, so the vocal, no EQ. Guitar is a little different. I did low cut first to make the track cleaner, and I guess the guitar player recorded it with line, didn't use an amp. Guitar supposed to sound good with the amp, but he didn't use it. So to me, guitar sound just sounds like a line, no amp. And I guess Logic has and GarageBand has, every kind of door has a amp simulator now.
Yeah. If you're using Logic, you can there's a bunch of different amps you can run the guitar through to and try to find the sound. You can, as you can see, just like on Nori's screen, you can manipulate the sound with these different knobs, and it's the exact same thing on Logic and GarageBand. GarageBand, I'm not sure, but for sure on Logic.
So it really depends on the instrument.
Nori, you got a question. Brandon says, what about plugins like Guitar Rig?
Yeah, that's good too. My point is, for guitar, I want to make guitar sounds like a guitar, coming from the amplifier. Some of the music maybe line sound okay. It's really up to you what kind of sound are you looking for. But for this, like authentic, like the band sound, I just want to hear natural guitar sound. So I use the guitar plug-in instead of using this EQ. Use this.
Oh, I see. So it's okay. So you don't use any other EQ except for the amp. You let that, just like in real life, you let the amp EQ the sound. Okay.
I mean, if you have an experience playing guitar or bass, you get used to adjust the sounds with the amps. I mean, for me, I do. I grew up playing guitar and bass, so for me, this is easier.
So what about for the people who, is there like a setting that we should, for us who don't play guitar or bass, is there like a setting we should be searching for or going to?
The same reason for EQing guitar, I saw it was too mad, it wasn't clear, it wasn't like bright enough. So instead of using this guitar rig, you can use the regular EQ to just turn up the high, just like this. It sounds still line, but you can adjust the sounds.
Okay, cool. So what are the settings on the amp though?
Pretty much same thing I did. Bass, I didn't mess around. Mid, I didn't do anything. 12, this is high. I boost
the
high
treble is the high, so you boosted it.
Yeah, boost it a little bit. Presence is kind of high too, like, but I didn't really mess around. So basically, for guitar, I boost the high a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, because guitar player was using line and no effects, guitar amp usually have some kind of reverb on amp. So I found the reverb, guitar reverb kind of effects.
Oh, I see.
This is reverb, just a reverb, but it's called spring reverb, different than digital reverb.
Got it. Y'all got that? So spring reverb. Because you'll find in your program there's like thousands of reverbs, and it's just like, damn, which one do I use? You know?
Yeah. So the point is, do whatever you feel, I mean, if you think it sounds good, then do it. I mean, there are thousands of plugins, you know, and maybe not for the guitar, but you can obviously you can use for the guitar. And if you have time and just experience every kind of plugins and what uses, like what kind of plugin is what it's for, and whatever, just spend time with it, mess around with it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm trying to make this guitar track as close as guitar amp sounds, amplifier sounds. So after I made guitar amp sounds here, I put little bit of slash compressor.
Oh, that's a compressor.
Yeah, but for the compressor, this is deep subject too. But basically, compressor makes sounds compressed, less dynamics. If the guitar player plays not even, if he plays loud and soft, compressor makes like, loud part compressed it down and lower part bring up, and trying to make it middle. You don't want to hear like so much dynamics in the mix. But at the same time, for me, I don't want to hear some complex sounds. I just put just a little bit.
So what's a little bit? What's the setting?
Okay, I'll show you. This is without compressor, natural. Watch here. So whenever guitar players plays down picking, that's an attack. So compressor cut the attack.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But just I cannot explain like how exactly use this for just talking with my English skill. So just
well, let me ask these cats. So anybody got any questions or have about anything we've hit so far? Because it's kind of a lot.
With the compressor, do you put a compressor on every instrument, or how does that work?
That's a good question. Well, for the standard, it all depends on like what kind of music you're looking for too. Compressor changes sounds a lot. If let's say when a classical piano player plays beautiful, authentic, some kind of back music, and you use a compressor to change players' dynamics. Some people doesn't like it. So I don't usually use compressor for piano. But like a trumpet has so much dynamics. When trumpet player plays like regular lines, signal just goes like this. But when he hit high, it goes like this.
Right.
And
So it's more used to kind of like wrangle loud instruments to keep them in check. Okay.
Can
My point is like you can use a compressor well and it sounds still natural, but doesn't hurt your ear and or the speakers.
Is
You
there,
know what I mean?
this is totally random, but like 1 or 2 times I sat in a mixing session like with Dave Farrell, and he like went into the audio files and like was actually like bringing down the volume in certain spots and bringing up the volume. Is that like kind of maybe the same gist of what a compressor is doing?
Yeah. Well, when a compressor wasn't invented, people use his hands to control the sounds. You've seen, like the movies or the recording studio, there are so many faders, people just doing this all the time from the top to the end. So compressor is kind of automatic fader, kind of. So if it's too high, then just bring it down. Too low, up, that kind of stuff. That's the base, knowledge of the compressor. But this is deep. I mean, I'm still like struggling. I'm still learning.
Hey, Seth has a question. Go ahead, Seth.
So in the same song that we're working on, the bass kind of goes from a bass solo back into like, I guess, the form or whatever. And it gets a lot louder. Would you like just take its volume down, or would you use a compressor for that?
Either way, but for the standard bass, electric bass uses a lot of compressor. And you wanna bass to settle in the track. Always, keeping it down, just make the fundamental. And you don't want to hear bass too much in front of the tune. I mean, you can hear the pumping and stuff, but you don't want to hear in front of a trumpet or vocals. So for the recording world, we use lots of compressor for the bass. Check my this is bass compressor for right now. I use this much. You can hear a little bit of compressor when it's solo, but with the all track together, you cannot hear compressor much. But if you use compressor for the high frequency instrumental like piano or the violin, you can hear immediately. Like people can tell, oh, you use a compressor for violin or piano. But it's affect high notes a lot.
Is there ever a time where you would use a compressor like on an entire track? Like once you get the levels, would you put a compressor on like everything?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like there are 3 processes for recording. 1, tracking means recording. You actually play the instrument or the thing to print. That's the one, recording. Then second process is mixing. mixing, you adjust every single track to make it balance. Then after that, it's called mastering. In a mix session, you make two tracks, which means stereo tracks. Like you have like 16 tracks, make it right and left, two channels. Then you do mastering. When in mastering, I mean you have to match the track for the TV, radio, or the CD or streaming. Now there are different kind of loudness, levels. So if it's too much dynamics, then radio cannot like reproduce well, or the CD cannot reproduce well. So for that, for the mastering, people use uh compressor or limiter all the time from the top to the end. Try to make it like smooth as much as possible, so you can turn up the volume.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess as you were saying that, I was like, I guess, yeah, like that would be the mastering process.
Yeah.
I appreciate that explanation. That was actually very helpful.
Nori, I wanted to point something out from Seth's previous question. It made me remember that the bass track, this is for everybody, during the bass solo, there should also be a bass line in that folder that goes under the bass solo. And I can't remember if that's labeled clearly, but if it's not, and there's an extra bass
I made it in one track, Darian.
Oh, you made it into one track, so Nori fixed he fixed
Yeah.
my Frankenstein. Okay, great.
Yeah, but still, like there are two bass lines, regular bass lines and bass solo. To answer the question, there's if you get like several different tracks for one parts, sometimes there's the volume differences. For Pro Tools, I can do volume change on the region. I actually did for piano. Check this out. I change the volume when piano solo starts. Right here. I basically cut the region and change the volume before it's going to the fader. This is the piano fader. Piano fader doesn't change, but file itself, the volume has changed right here. So I wanted to have like piano solo louder instead of like like I was saying, like mess around the fader when the piano solo comes, like I have to turn up, and piano solo finish, I have to come back to the normal. I didn't want to do that, so instead I found a piano solo section and turn up the volume on the region before it goes to the fader.
You can do the same thing for my Logic users. You can do the same thing. Actually, we're coming to the end of class here, but when we get finished, if people don't know how to do it on Logic, stick around and I can show you on Logic.
I'm pretty sure like every kind of DAW has the same feature. So, but there are a couple ways too. You can actually use the fader to up and down. Or on the bass track too. Bass track had I adjusted this already. And glued everything as one. So if you see if you feel like the bass has a different kind of volume, you can just cut. Select and cut and adjust the volume. Okay.
Hey guys, any questions? Okay, Brandon's got one. What you got?
So I noticed for piano solos, they are all on the same track, and the clip gain is adjusted. So my question is,
Yeah.
this doesn't necessarily only apply to a bass solo, but would it be uh, a practical technique to have a separate track, like as you do for the bass solo and a bass for like just for the solo, and maybe EQ the mid so that the solos itself are a little bit more up front?
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
I did it. I'll show you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So
All
this is
right.
regular bass track, and this is bass solo. Bass solo is this much,
Okay.
and I'll show you the mix what I did. Um, as I say, this time I didn't EQ crazy. I'm trying to explain high pass filter, so I only use high pass filter on the bass solo.
Mm.
For the solos, you don't need to hear much fundamental bass sounds.
Mm.
So I don't usually have low pass filter, high pass filter on bass solo on like this much. I have like
Okay.
154. Let's hear the sounds. You can hear the upper mid and high clear.
Yeah.
That don't have much low and doesn't need it. If this has a so much low, when it's mixed with the regular bass, it gets so much mad. You can hear the
Ah.
line.
Yeah, because you have the bass and the bass solo both playing together.
Yeah. So I used to do this. I used to turn up the high instead of doing low pass filter. Because
Mm.
I needed to hear more bass solo. So I trying to turn up like high this crazy,
Oh wow.
but it doesn't cut through somehow because it's canceling each other.
Yeah.
So this is the mix. You can still hear the regular bass and bass solo together. I can still do this. If I mess around the high pass filter too much, then it doesn't sound like a bass anymore.
Sounds like a guitar, like a
So
string.
mess around to find the point that it sounds still sounds bass, but not for the regular bass, not background bass.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the basic idea for like all the tracks for the high pass filters. Let's go on.
We're coming up to the end, Nori.
Oh, okay.
So just go ahead.
I'm trying to make a 2 tracks for everybody, and put it in the folder. Because I wanted to talk about the reverb and delay maybe next time, and I want you hear, what's difference, what's the difference of your mix and my mix.
Okay, great. So next time, guys, be ready to play your mixes for us. Any questions about anything we went over today? I know it was a lot.
Should we also send you our recordings just in case we can't play them? Or
Yeah,
something,
if
and
you
one of y'all can-
email them to that's a great idea. So everybody email me your mixes at second line, the second line email. And that way if you have any issues, I can play it. Or
Or
I'll just
maybe, actually, Matt, maybe they could upload it into that folder where they got the stuff
even
too.
better.
That might be a
That's
bit
even
easier
better.
for us.
That's easier. Actually, that is easier. So yeah, just upload it to Nori's folder and please clearly label it, like put your name, mix one. So Haywood, mix one, Matthew, mix one, and so on.
Hey,
I think
Darian,
yes, sir.
I just want to say like last things for this because don't be afraid. Just try. Like there's no right and wrong. So and it takes long time to understand everything. So just like feel free to try everything and try to mix it. Whatever you feel like it. And if you have chance, if you play instrument, you can overdub on this track too. I just came up with this idea.
Yeah.
If you play trumpet, maybe put trumpet solos or something. If you sing, maybe you can just do that.
Take the piano solo out and solo there, no matter what instrument you play.
Yeah, you can just play with this.
Yeah, or the bass, whichever solo you want to take out. Actually, take the bass solo out because there's still a bass line there.
Or if anyone feels inclined, you can just mute the vocals and sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Okay, everybody cool with that? Everybody got it? So you're gonna overdub a solo and also put the mix in the folder. And I'm excited to hear it. We're gonna have a magic show and some dope mixes on Friday. Seth, you're about to say something.
That's how reggae started. The Jamaican people use this like somebody else's record and just mess around with the reverb and delay.
Oh, okay.
So are we putting in the mix that we did for this past assignment, or do you want us to do the reverb stuff and put in?
I mean, if you have time,
I would say don't hold, if you can do more, do it. So just put your best foot forward and do as much as you can, and then stop when you run into a wall and say, "Oh, I have a question." So mix it to your best ability. You have a question, bring in your questions. That helps us better, kind of help you get better. You know what I mean? Okay, so I think everybody, all y'all cool? Dominic, you cool?
Oh, I have a question. I saw you had some of the tracks bust to a few different buses at the same time.
Oh, the buses?
Yeah.
I'll explain maybe next time, but basically, I kind of talked last time too, but the drama has like 4 tracks, but I want to put like one reverb for the drums. I don't want to like use 4 different reverb on one drum, so I just make it group as one track. That's how I use a bass.
So then when you have 2 buses on one track, it's like you bust the overhead microphones together and then bust those 2 with the rest of the drums.
Yeah, but well, so many way to use buses. I mean, like you can create it. It just maybe there are 100 way to use a buses. So
Dominic, ignore it. You can tell me if this is wrong, but when I mix, and I'm terrible at mixing, so I'm learning. So sometimes I'll bust all the drums. I'll bust, overheads, snare, kick, tom mics, whatever I got. I bust it to one place, like Nori is saying, because I want the drums to sound like they're in one room. So then so that bus will be the reverb bus. Okay, cool. Bam, that's there. So now I can have full control over reverb. And then maybe I'll do another bus of drums for gain, because in certain spots I might want to turn the drums up. Does that make sense, Dominic? So you could do it that way. You can have several buses for one instrument for different things, or you can have one bus and have all of those plugins on that one bus. It's kind of like up to what you want to do.
Yeah, for the digital with you guys are young. Like, I know that analog days, like 80s, 70s, people using actually the mixers and outboard, and if I use it so much bass and the sound quality gets down and down. But for the digital, it never gonna happen. So you can use like basses as many as you want.
Matthew, what you got for us?
What do you say?
You got any questions?
I think I'm good on the logic part.
Okay, you good. Mason, what about you? Good. Brandon, you good? All right.
Could you show us that one thing in Logic, how to like pull up the I think you're muted as well.
I am muted. Yep, I'll pull it up right now. All right, you guys can see this, no?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so this button right here, I'll take this track. This is from our podcast yesterday. And this little line, for instance, if I wanted to turn up just this section, say this was a solo, I just pull it up right there, and then it would just come right back down. I don't know if there's even any audio here, but or if it's even safe to play, but does that make sense? Do you see this button on your all right, this is really that easy. That's how I do it. I don't know if Greg, do you have another way?
When I'm adjusting audio, it's usually exactly like volumes. That's exactly what I do.
Okay, cool. Found it on your DAW. All my Logic guys.
And just for the record too, like that same exact thing that Darian did, that's exactly how you adjust volume in iMovie or Final Cut too.
Yep. All right, y'all.
All right, man. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. I guess we'll see everybody back here at 1:00. With who do we have at 1? We have somebody at 1. I don't have the schedule in front of me. I mean, yeah.